Hi there. My name's Kevin Moselle. I work for the Health and Wellness team for the Jordan School District. Today I wanted to show you something our team created last summer called the Mental Health Provider List. And I'm going to show it to you now where to find it, and then I'll explain more. So here on Google, just go to jordandistrict.org. Once you go to the district's website, if you scroll down a little bit and go over to the right here, it says Health and Wellness. Click on that. That will lead you to our home page for Health and Wellness. There's a wealth of information on here that could help people who might be struggling, including those that might be dealing with a crisis. There's tips for dealing with the coronavirus, tips for coping with earthquakes, anxiety, depression, many things on this website that could help different kinds of students with different kinds of issues. But if you scroll down here to halfway down on the page, there's this document called the Jordan School District Local Community Mental Health Provider Spreadsheet. It's a big word, but we just call it the Mental Health Provider List. So if I click on that, it comes up down here in the corner in the bottom. And if I click on that, it will open itself up. This is the Mental Health Provider Spreadsheet. On here is 40 different providers that we have gone out, seen their locations, taken a tour, met their staff, interviewed them to ensure that they provide the best quality services that a mental health provider can provide in our community. We decided to create this list because we had difficulty finding good quality lists that would lead us to resources to help students that might be struggling or who are at risk, or parents that needed any kind of help. So we decided to put together our own list. This list is free to the whole community. You can find it on our website. It's always available. And so some of the special features about this particular provider spreadsheet that we put together is, first, I want to direct your attention up here. You can see it's called a Community Mental Health Provider List, but it shows a date of March 4th, 2020. The nice thing about this is that is the last date that this list was updated. One of the things we wanted to make sure of is not having lists on here that would get outdated. You'll find other lists where you might call a provider and the phone number doesn't work anymore. And so we wanted to make sure we had a list that never got outdated. And so we keep in regular contact with all of these providers, and they provide us information, and if anything changes with their agency, that we update it and put it on this website. So if the last time you'd like to know when this was updated, it's this date of March 4th, 2020. And when we get new information, a new date will go up there. However, if you find information that happens to be outdated and it's on here, feel free to come back to our Health and Wellness website, and you can contact me here. Here's my email address, and I will reach out to the provider and make sure that the information gets updated. So when you get back to the provider spreadsheet, you want to hit Enable Editing here so that you can edit it. One of the nice features again about this is an Excel spreadsheet. And on this spreadsheet, you can sort and filter different columns and areas. For example, this currently is sorted in alphabetical order under provider name. Now, if you want to use a filtering feature, I'll give you an example where this is really helpful. If you come over here to City and click on this arrow button, it drops down all the cities here. They're already all selected. So if I hit select all, it deselects them. And let's say I live in West Jordan and want to pick a provider close by to where I live. We'll come down here, select West Jordan, hit OK, and then it filters it down to all the providers in West Jordan. You can even take it further, where I live in West Jordan and I have Medicaid as my insurance. I can come over to the column I, click on the arrow, deselect it all, hit yes, hit OK, and then it narrows down to only 5 providers that have Medicaid that are in West Jordan. So this filtering feature can be quite handy when you're really trying to figure out what is the best place that fits my needs. So I'm going to take off the filters for a minute. If Using Excel can be challenging. We did create a tab down here, if you look at the bottom, called Excel Basics. If you click on this tab, we actually created some definitions, some explanations of how to sort, how to filter, how to remove filters, including these blue hyperlinks that will actually lead you to YouTube videos to show you how to sort and filter. So if you need any help, feel free to do that. We also have a part that talks about hyperlinks down here. I'm going to go back to the contact list. Everything in red on this is considered a hyperlink, which leads to more information. But I'll get to that in a minute. So some of the columns that we have on here were really critical information that we thought that any parent would want to know, or school staff member. So I'm going to go through these columns. More info is something I will get to in a minute. It has their phone number, has their address, has the city that they're located, has the age. And this means this is the youngest that they would see a child. So we have providers who can see children as young as 18 months. Then you have targeted services, which again I'll get to in a second. You have something called prescribed meds on site. What this column refers to is that if it's a yes, then they have a doctor or psychiatrist or APRN that works at this agency on site with the staff who can prescribe mental health medications like for depression or anxiety or ADHD. And so this might be handy for some parents who want to feel like that their kids might need to be on medicine as well as getting therapy at the same time. And so if that's something you're interested in, you can filter it by yes or no. The next column is Medicaid. So if you have Medicaid, yes or no. The next column is called County Funded Assistance. With county funded assistance, there's 5 providers in Salt Lake County that work with the local mental health authority of Salt Lake County Behavioral Health Services, where they can provide assistance to families who don't have any insurance. And so you can access services through this provider at a very minimal sliding scale, if at no cost sometimes at all. So this could be really helpful for those that don't have insurance. So if I come down here, I'm going to scroll across. We have other categories. So we have private insurance. So this lists all the major insurance panels that these providers take. If you're not listed under here, you're unsure, you're welcome to call the provider and they will let you know whether they take them or not. All these providers can take self-pay. They can also take ecclesiastical pay if that's important for you. Then the next category here in column L, weekend availability, just means that some of these providers can do therapy on Saturdays or Sundays if that's important for you. All of them do it during the weekdays, but some of them can also do Saturdays and Sundays. The next column, more intensive treatment, all of these providers do general outpatient treatment. However, some of them can do intensive outpatient treatment, day treatment, and even residential treatment. So that might be helpful for you to know if that's something you're looking for. The next column is called crisis response. Again, this means that some of these providers can really help families who are in crisis within 24 to 48 hours. And some don't have the means to do so. So that might be important to know. Then you have your wait list to get in. This is typically how long they say is average on what it would take from the time you call until you actually see a therapist. And so it varies by provider. Finally, you have a column called Other Languages. Many of the providers have therapists that can speak other languages fluently. And so if that's something you need, you can click on, again, the red hyperlink and it'll lead you to that. The last column includes their website. So if you want to go to their website and find out more specifically about what they do, feel free to click on their website. Finally, the last feature on this page I want to show you down here is it's called this tab called Definitions. So I've kind of explained what each column means, but if you forget, you can click on Definitions, and each column is listed here with a definition of what that column means. So for instance, under weekend availability, if the provider would mark yes, they can provide treatment services on Saturday or Sunday. So every column has a definition here in case you're confused about what that column might mean. So back to contact list here. So I'm going to click on some of the hyperlinks. More info, targeted services. I'm going to start with Aspen Ridge Counseling here. So if I click on them, it leads to additional columns that you can't necessarily sort or filter, but that's still helpful information to know. Column A talks about the number of professional staff that they have. This helps you to know how many therapists and clinicians that they have on staff here. Column B shows their days and hours of service. Column C shows their targeted areas of expertise. This means that this agency has a lot of skills, certifications, um, and other expertise as far as dealing with different kinds of behavioral or mental health issues. The next column, these are behaviors or issues that are not provided and referred out. So these are areas that Aspen Ridge can't treat and they would refer to a different provider. So that might be helpful to know. This column E shows their services and therapeutic models that are practiced and provided. So if you're looking for an agency that specifically does CBT or cognitive behavioral therapy, then this would be a place to go to. If you want to know what some of these other acronyms mean, you can call the agency. They can tell you what dialectical behavioral therapy is or EMDR if you're interested in knowing. Aspen Ridge happens to have other locations, and then this is their clinical director or contact person. And then if you need to go back to the main contact list, you just come back over here to this red hyperlink, click on back to contact list, and it'll lead you straight back there. I'll click on one more provider here, maybe Mountain View Family Therapy. More info, targeted services is the same. So at Mountain View, they have 10 therapists and 2 nurse practitioners. Looks like they could do some services on Saturday. Looks like they have some other areas where they have targeted areas of expertise, as well as areas that they don't treat, and then other areas that they can provide specific types of therapy, including they work with special needs kids, they can do trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, and finally they have a therapist or 2 that can speak Spanish fluently in case that's helpful to know. So this is our mental health provider list. Again, I hope this is just convenient to use and helpful to use, and that feel free to share it with your friends, your neighbors, anybody who might be in need of using this list. And have a great day.